pursuing. I just put in work to the morning, to the three bird that we heard. Stepping through the light, that's a rebirth. Giving thanks to life and the ether. I can never fall when I'm free word. Free bird, free word, free bird, free word, free bird. I'm Elo, I'm Elo, I'm Elo, I'm Elo. Sun rays like a satellite. Energies bring me back to life. Catch me chilling with the Elo. Universal flow, I belong here. Sun rays like a satellite. Energies bring me back to life. Catch me chilling with the Elo. Universal flow, I belong here. I Elo. I Elo. I Elo. I know, I know.
I fucking love
Thanks
you.
to the fire. I know, I know, I know. I love sun rays like a satellite. Energies bring me back to life. Catch me chilling with the Elo. Universal flow, I belong here. Keep that focus on that starlight. God of my universe, part of my mission, righteous the all man. Raw splitting the sea into that clear sight. Go far into vision, lifting up that soul right. I know.
Good night, everyone. Good night, beautiful people. Good night, beautiful people. I pray that your evening, your day, all has been well and is going well. I greet you all in love. I greet you all in oneness. I greet you all in peace. The music that you are hearing in the background is entitled Elo by Sky Ken, who has wrote, mastered, and created this song. I pray that you guys like it. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Good night, Mama Star. Good night, good night, good night. I thank you all for joining tonight. It's going to be a beautiful night. And I'm very, very, very excited tonight. Very excited. Because one of my longtime friends, sister, comrade, accountability partner, prayer partner, motivation partner, all that good stuff. From home, from Chicago, Chi-Town in the building, Chi-Town in the building, is joining us tonight. And so I'm very excited. Rain is running a little late, but she's going to be hopping on with us tonight as well. So it's going to be a jam-packed night full of good stuff, good vibration, good energy. Happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday. I'm very excited. Welcome to Wild Out Wednesday. I am Baba Ra, and tonight with myself and co-host Rain, we will have the pleasure of having Astro Weather Woman today joining us, giving us some food for thought, giving us food for thought, wisdom, understanding, answering some questions, giving some insight about this thing called astrology. And a lot of us are curious about astrology, want to know more about it. And we're not going to get into all the ins and outs of astrology, of course, not tonight. Most likely at a later, another video to brighten up the place so you guys can see me, and we'll get into the ins and outs of astrology at a later time. However, we're focusing on how astrology and how astrology affects our relationship building, who we build relationships with, how we build relationships with individuals, how we navigate, and so it's going to be a beautiful night. So get yourself ready, get your pen, get your paper, get your questions ready, get your water, get your juice, your tea, your coffee, and everything else that you think you will need for this evening of wonderful conversation with myself, Rain, and Astro Weather Woman. So, just a quick introduction as I'm getting ready to bring her on and she getting herself ready to bless us with wonderful energy. This beautiful soul um, has come into my life at a time when I was transitioning into stepping into more of who I am as a spiritual being, as a teacher, as a practitioner, as a motivator, as a healer. And when I was given the opportunity to work in this special spiritual shop called Zuri Holistics on the south side of Chicago, I met this beautiful soul. And we were in a space where we were growing, empowering, pouring water back and forth into each other to edify, strengthen, motivate, and teach. And I'm very grateful that she's in my life. She's been consistent and a constant in my life. I've seen me journey on, and I've seen her journey more into this work of astrology, more into this work as a practitioner, as a healer, dealing with the cosmos. And she has grown wonderfully. Her knowledge is far greater than mine when we go into astrology. If anybody wants to know about astrology, have questions about astrology, need insights about astrology, it's really two people I'm going to send you to: Astro Weather Woman or Rain. Those two. Oh, and my next one, I call her my little African fairy, Avi. She's probably going to be the next one I bring on, because those individuals there, actually, I'm going to text Avi on tonight and see if I can pull her on in here too. It'll just be a nice, but anyhow, these individuals definitely give a great understanding of astrology and the importance of it and how it in fact impacts us. Now, being a Piscean being, since I was young, I've always been curious about astrology. I've always had questions. I was always on Google researching, looking, trying to find out, trying to discover more about astrology and what I need to know about myself as a Piscean being. And the things that I read were pretty spot on, but it got even deeper when I got into birth charts and natal charts and time and dates and locations and all that stuff. Really, things got real deep. And so for those of you that want to get into that, she will guide us a little bit as to how we can go about doing that. And so with no further ado, I'm going to bring this beautiful soul onto the platform now, and it's going to be a wonderful vibe tonight. And I welcome with us tonight, Astro Weather Woman.
Hi! Peace and love, you guys. Peace and love. That edification was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Listen,
I love you so much.
I love you too. You guys, let me tell y'all, I literally called her. I was trying to message her and she didn't see the message. I'm like, foul, girl. And she called me. I'm like, I need you. We got some things to talk about, and we got to bless the people with some good stuff, And
yeah.
I couldn't think of anyone else to share this platform with myself and Rain tonight other than you, because, like I said, your platform is built upon astrology. It is built upon empowering people about knowing themselves, because when you get into your natal charts, it's about knowing you, the ins and outs of you. And so I'm just very grateful for you to share tonight with us.
Yes, indeed. I'm excited to be here and to share this knowledge. I am an astrological enthusiast. I love talking about this. I love bringing this in conversation. So I'm really excited about tonight's conversation.
Okay. Well, tell a little bit of people about who you are, what you do. Who is the Astro Weather Woman? Who is she?
Yes, indeed. So, my birth name is Fallon Brown. That's the name that my mother and my father merged together, integrated, and gave me. But throughout my spiritual journey, I realized that I am a layered soul, and I got the name Omisade from my Ifa practice, and that's also how me and you connect as well too, through Ifa practice and me learning so much from you in that arena. And also I got the name Omisade when I first got my birth chart reading. Not my birth chart, when I first got my Dafa reading.
Yes.
Ifa. So that is how I got Omisade, which means water created abundance or water made a
Hmm.
crown. And
Yes.
also the Astro Weather Woman is just the name that I gave myself because I believe that I'm an advocate in helping others understand themselves internally through astrology. So I picture myself, I always, when I was a young girl, I wanted to be like the weather woman, like the ladies on the news, showing. And I
I
know
love
all
it.
of that all ties in together. So I call myself the Astro Weather Woman. And some people call me Foul Pal. I know that's because I'm a
Hmm.
I'm a good friend and good companion, and I really celebrate
Yes.
companionship and relationships. So that's where Foul Pal come from. And like I said, many layers. I got a new name as well too through my inward journey, rites of passage, which is Efuru Nalo, which means daughter of heaven who
Oh.
is much loved. So I have
Oh, I
so
love
many,
that.
and I think those names and this just tied to the assignments and the purpose in my life. So that's where those names come from for sure.
I love it. I love it. So I myself, even for those of you that are in your journey, whether you are now starting, middle of, even further advancing your journey, you'll learn that as you grow, as we navigate through this world called spirituality and navigating in this here marketplace, we will develop multiple parts of ourselves. And
Yeah.
in developing multiple parts of ourselves, carnally and spiritually, comes new names. New names hold weight. Names hold weight. It holds responsibility. It holds identity. It holds the essence of who the all in all has formed you to be as you discover your all in all. And
Yes.
so that's just a little motivation about that, you guys. So your birth name matters that your parents gave you, and the name that you receive along the paths that you walk do
Yes.
matter. And so, even as we get into the many components of just names, we shift into astrology lightly before we get into the depths of like getting into the relationship aspect of relationship and astrology. Can you share with the people why do you feel that astrology or natal charts are important, and how do they impact us at different levels of our life?
So, man, I'm glad that you asked that question because I am actually in training to become officially a doula. And it's
Hmm.
a doula is literally somebody who, that's enough, literally someone who my shout out, thank you, Brian. Got my drink. You told me to get my beverage, so I
Yes.
had to get my
Hello.
libations on.
Hello.
So
Yes. Get
um
it together.
and so it's really me. As I've been into this training, I went through the birth training and I went through the postpartum training literally last week. And my story before, it always revamps as I grow. And even just the word, I'm into the etymology of words heavily. So even just
Yes.
understanding birth, that's the first thing. It's about your birth. Your birth story
Hmm.
literally sets the tone for how you have been cultivated, how you have been,
Yes.
your birth story. And a lot of us, some of us have different birth stories, a lot of us, and I believe that it ties into who we are as individuals. And literally your birth chart, when it comes to on the astrological standpoint, it is literally just like a snapshot of the stars and the
Hmm.
planets the day that you were born, and they all tell a story. I like to, it's like I say, living legends living amongst the stars. We are stars. We are literally
Ooh, I like
stardust.
that.
We are literally that. And speaking of, I don't know if you guys checked out that Joe Rogan podcast with Terrence Howard, who gave so much beautiful knowledge in regards to the planets and understanding the elements and understanding that the even just on a scientific level. But the birth chart is literally telling you what sign the planet was in when you were born. We all have a sun sign. And my favorite question to ask
Hmm.
is, if the sun affects you, we're all melanated people. I believe we are at a level of
Yes.
consciousness where we understand how important the sun is to us, right? But
Yes.
what makes you think that the moon and the other planets doesn't affect you? So
Ashe.
that's always
Yes.
my imposing question. to get people to open and expand their mind. I am a Sagittarius sun and rising, so and Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter, which means expansion
Ah,
of knowledge. I am an expander of knowledge. So when the Sagittarius come into your life, just know things are about to expand. But what are you
expand.
expanding
Okay.
upon? Okay, is the key,
Ooh.
because I'm a Virgo moon, and Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so I'm also a messenger through the emotional transformation. When somebody's going through an emotional transformation, that's usually when I pop up. So I can tell that story and that birth
Mm.
story about myself, and it actually kind of repeats throughout my life, because we all go through death, we all go through birth and death is one of the inevitable things
It's
that
a
we all
part of
experience
life.
in life. So your birth story, your birth chart, it just really tells a story of who you are with through the elements. Okay, and we got four different
Mm.
elements. We got air, we got earth, we got water, and we got fire.
Yes.
And each zodiac
Yes.
sign is
Yes.
represented by an element, and each zodiac sign is also ruled by a planet. So if the
Mm-hmm.
zodiac
Mm-hmm.
sign is ruled by a certain planet, that is how the zodiac sign or the constellation gets its characteristics, is from the planet. And when you study the planet, you kind of understand how that sign moves. And every time something is happening with that planet, it shifts through all 12 signs, and it's probably more expansive than what I know on a basic level. And that's why, we gotta definitely get the cosmic fairy in the building, because she breaks
Mm-hmm.
it down. Okay, so in that
Yeah, the
aspect.
cosmic
And
fairy ain't no joke.
he ain't no joke. I love it. I love it. She gets me together and she changes my perspective. And see, that is also what's so important about the birth chart, is because it is your lens. I believe that the zodiac sign is literally a lens. That's why I got on my lenses today, to better understand and how you see things in your perception, in your world's view.
Hello.
And the word world means man's view. So when everybody say
I
my
love it.
world and our world, it's really about how we collectively see things and how we individually see things. And how we
Yep.
manifest that energy. And so when you have that awareness about yourself, you know what elements you're working with, you know what the characteristics and the energy. Now you are more than just your sun sign. You're more than just the Aries. You're more than just
Yes.
the Pisces. You're more
Yes.
than just the Sagittarius. We are all signs, especially the Piscean energy, because it's the last. So, but also we are all signs, and we're all cultivated. We all have a certain perception to be able to have a collective view of life, and that is how we
Of
relate. And
life.
that's why I'm
Yes.
super excited to talk about the relationships. And if people got questions about the compatibility of the sign and how the sign manifests in the planet, I can talk about some of the actual planet placements that's happening today, so you can look at what's happening. So, for example, we're in the Gemini season right now. So, shout out to all the Geminis. Happy birthday to
So
the
while we
Gem.
segmenting, yeah, so we can segment before we get deep. Go ahead and give us, as we're
Yes,
reporting live from Chicago, the Astro Weather Woman presenting today's motion in the cosmos. What is
yes.
going on in the cosmos today, Astro Weather Woman?
So I'm only gonna go and talk about the moon energy, because that's why I specialize in. But if you want to get a deeper birth
Okay,
chart reading with me to help you and analyze your birth chart to know what season you are in your life, you can definitely reach out to me, and I will be
yes,
your guide. Okay. But
please
as far
do.
as what's happening in
Or
the
you'll reach out.
cosmos, I'm gonna talk about the sun energy first, because that's the ego. That's the soul.
Okay,
The sun means soul. It's in what's within you. Okay, what exudes
hmm.
outside of you. Okay, and I was born in the sun sign of Sagittarius, for example. Okay, but we're in the opposite sign, because each zodiac sign has an opposite. We're in the Gemini season, okay? On May 21st, that is when we officially, every 30 days, the sun goes into a different sign. So we're in the Gemini season until June 20th, June 21st, and that's that cuspy area. Some people who are born on that
Okay,
19th, 21, you're what you're called a cuspy. And so you have a merge of both signs. And then we have the moon energy, which is the emotions, okay, which is the psychological, the subconscious mind. It's the feminine essence. It's the darker side of the feminine essence. Okay. And so the moon sign is, like I said, it's in Scorpio now, because depending on where you are, because it could be in Sagittarius depending on the time. Because remember, this is all about where you are. We have Eastern astrology, Western astrology, and we're in different time zones. So it depends on what's happening. So we won't have a full moon here in Chicago until about 4:05, 4:08 a.m. That is when the moon will be at its peak. You guys probably can look at the moon right now and see it bulgingly. It's the gibbous moon right now. We have 8 different phases of the moon, and we're not going
Yes.
to talk too much about that. But the 2 main phases of the moon that we are very familiar with is the full moon and the new moon. Okay, so the
Yes.
full moon, and
Yes.
this is the relationship between the sun and the moon. The relationship between the sun and the moon, we have the sun, which is the masculine energy, which is that sun energy, and then we have the moon, which is the feminine energy. And the sun and the moon, when it aligns, which is a new moon, that is when we are in a new season. We don't see the moon in the sky. It's usually a dark void, but they say you manifest in the darkness. So it's a great time to cultivate energy and manifest what you want to bring into your life. But the full moons are just as important, which is why a lot of people say, oh, we
Yes.
feel the energy. So we all are made up about in between 75 to 90% of water. Okay, the science, do the math. We're mostly water. And with us being mostly water, hi Rain.
Hello.
Peace and love. And so with us being mostly water, just like the moon controls the tides in the ocean, in the lake, it also controls us, that motion. And emotions is nothing but energy in motion. Okay, it's nothing but whatever energy that you're feeling, it's in motion. So that's why it's so important when you are releasing and manifesting, for you to be self-aware of your energy and where your placement is, so that you can know whatever phase the moon is, what that relationship and how it connects to you personally. So the moon is in Sagittarius, the full moon is in Sagittarius. So anytime there's a full moon, is when the sun and the moon is in opposition. You see the moon bulging beautifully by itself in the sky. Okay, and that is usually the sun. The moon is in the opposite sign of the sun sign. So we're in the Gemini season. The opposite of Gemini is Sagittarius. Okay. And yeah, it's just so much information, but I really like to get intimate. I really like to get personal, so people can go inward, because we're in a time where we have to understand ourselves. Self-awareness is a superpower. So the more you know about yourself, the more you learn how to navigate when things around you are shifting and changing. And when you're aware of yourself, you can better integrate what's happening around you and transmute energy based off of how you wanted to move for yourself. Peace of love, Amira.
Ashe.
My baby girl Amira just came
I
in. She's
love
a
that.
Leo. I did a reading for her not too
I
long ago
love
on
it.
the Aries season. So yeah. Yes,
I
indeed.
love it.
So
Rain,
that's
I'm
just the
so
sun
glad
and the
you're in.
moon.
Hi, you
I love it.
guys.
See, we got to hook
Hello.
in. Oh, we are rocking and rolling. And we are rocking
Now it's
and
time for us to
rolling.
get into the synastry of how astrology plays into how we date,
Yes.
This is an
Okay.
area of subject that
as
I'm
well as
very
the aspects.
interested in, synastry. So
Yes.
can you give us a brief synopsis of what synastry is and how it plays a role in the charts?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
said
as we
you
about to
guys went
segment
over
right on
Yeah.
in there. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, when it comes to synastry and astrology, that's when you get your natal chart and the natal chart of whoever. It could be your friend, it can be whoever you're dating, and it can even go into businesses as well. You don't always. It's best to have the time if you want to know where your planets fall into that other person's house placements. But if you don't have their time, as long as you have the day, the year, the day, the year, and the month of when they're born, their birthday, you pretty much got what you need. Now, let's say when it comes to synastry, oftentimes people think, oh, we both have water Venus signs, we're compatible. No,
Right now.
no, it don't work that way, because sometimes that water Venus, it may not touch the other person's water Venus. Your Venus could have something like a hard opposition to their Mars, for example.
Yep.
And now, like, let's say it's Mars square Venus when you look up your synastry with somebody. If you're the Mars person, am I allowed to curse on here? Is it okay if I curse on here?
Yes, be yourself.
Okay.
Be
The Mars
yourself.
person is really going to be trying their damnedest to fuck the Venus person. Because you got to think there's a square. Your Mars is squaring their Venus. And
Yes.
that person that's Mars, they probably do want to have sex with that person. They might be the person that is being more of the pursuer in the dynamic, while the Venus person might feel a little overwhelmed and not know what to do. They might just naturally submit to whoever the Mars person is. Venus, and when it's touching Pluto, for example, in synastry, usually that's known to have a lot of karma, but at the same time, there's a lot of sexiness within all of that. You know, when you have when you're the Pluto person, usually you are known to have the upper hand in those type of situations, because Pluto is more of a power type of planet than Venus. But that doesn't mean Venus can't be playing games with Pluto. You know, usually the Venus person might be the person that tries to impress Pluto a little bit. They might not be conscious they're trying to impress Pluto, but they view that Pluto person, they're looking like, man, this person's the big dog. This person's shit. Like, for example, and like
that's very interesting that you say that, because I feel like I'm learning personally in my journey, my own relationship with myself and how I relate, because it's also a reflection of what you call into, because you can still manifest without having this knowledge. But at the same time, it's like, when you are aware, you definitely overcome certain patterns that happen and certain things that you go through over and over and over again. So I try to explain it on a simpler level so people can understand. I'm kind of like the ABCD with it. I'm intermediate. I'm the one that's going to be like, okay, you never had a birth chart reading. You don't even know what your moon sign is. So I kind of dive more into simplifying it to be so people can understand it. And before you know it, people actually expand deeper. I've taught people the simple stuff and they go deeper than what I know, because you unlock something in that awareness with that person. They start to see their own patterns, and then they just have us to confirm, like, oh, that is right, I do that, or I do have these experiences happening. So it's really just kind of like a confirmation. When you get readings, when you get birth chart readings, it's a confirmation of the things. We're here to remember and remind. So we're here just to remind you of who you are, your superpowers, and what works and what doesn't work.
So I feel I feel like it's very important to understand your astrological placements, to understand self. Besides anything else, besides synastry, besides all of that, to understand your innermost workings, like you mentioned with that pattern identification.
Yes.
When you're able to see those patterns, in theory, you're supposed to be able to skirt through them and rise above them. But also, I want to ask the question, could there be certain astrological placements where you have to continue learning these particular lessons over and over again? And if so, what would be those planets to look at?
Wouldn't that be more so of the aspects like your squares? See, that's when it get intricate, you know. I and this is just from my perspective, and how I look at it, because that's very important. Because that's, even as an astrologer, it's important for us to know ourselves so that we can know how to communicate with the next person. Because if I'm a fire sign and I'm talking to a water sign, or they have certain aspects, it's kind of like when you're giving a message to somebody, you want to make sure they're open to receive, or if you're even the right person, because relationships is not just about other people. The most important relationship is the one with yourself. And then most likely, though, when you have a better relationship with yourself and have that understanding with self, which is why I don't die. A lot of people, when they like, oh, I want to know about this person, I'm like, slow down. What about the relationship with yourself? Because a lot of times people are blindsided because they haven't done that work within themselves. They haven't done the shadow side. They don't know the subconscious programming that they have. And that's really mostly the moon sign too, because the moon and Neptune, they rule over the psychological mind. It rules over the things that you absorb that you can't control. I don't know if you really, well, you can control, but it takes time to overcome and realize that, hey, somebody planted that in my head and it's replaying over and over again. I don't know if you guys read the 4 agreements, but the first 12 pages of the 4 agreements, the first 12 pages alone explains to you, hey, there's a programming that's over you before you even got to even understand what's yes and no and right and wrong for you internally. We all have a soul contract before we come into this world. So we have a knowing. It's really upon the parents to cultivate that space for them to be able to open to understand themselves and express that naturally and guide them through that.
So I have a question. What astrological
Go ahead, Ryan.
placements would you look at to get some indication or insight into your soul contracts that you have made before incarnating in this planet? Would it be your south node? You know, what would be the placement that you would look at so you could have that prior knowledge to understand how to advance going forward?
You want to answer that?
I think that would be a good question for actually both of us, because I would love to hear your insight too as well,
Yes.
Fallon. But when it comes to soul contracts, I'm mostly going to look at, like she said earlier, the nodes. Because, you know, your south node is already everything that you've done in the past lives. You already know how to do everything that's in your south node. It comes natural to you. So that's something you have to grow out of. And when it comes to the south node, one thing you have to always pay attention to is what house is in. What matters is this involved in? I'll use mine, for example. It's 10th house matters. You know, a lot of things involving career, my public persona. But the thing is it's always the opposite for your north node. Like for mine, it's the 4th. It's about family. It's about, you know, getting in tune with my ancestors, for example, because ancestral work, that goes with the 4th house as well, which is something I never thought I would be end up doing if you would have asked me this 10 years ago, you know. So when it comes to one contract, you know, of course, your north node is something that you're supposed to fulfill, as well as looking at your Saturn. What house is Saturn in? Is your Saturn in the 5th house? You have a contract when it comes to not just dating, because 5th house is dating, but it also involves children. It also involves your creativity. Was there something creative that you were supposed to create within this life? Is there a story that's deep within you? Is there a song that's deep within you? You know, a lot of times when we think of soul contracts, we always think about, oh, it's something involving a man or a woman. And, you know, a lot of times we think of relationships oftentimes. We talk about soul contracts and soul ties. We think of sex, but oftentimes it can be, what are you supposed to give to this world? What are all the things of the past you have to rid yourself of? And you can find that out with your Saturn. You can find that out with your south node primarily. And what you think?
For me, I'm going to answer that question quickly from a personal standpoint. It will be your stelliums. The stelliums in your chart. If you have a sign in more than one planet, I do believe that that's a soul contract, but it's like inherited knowledge that you already have that you should be utilizing to overcome any obstacles in your life. So for instance, I am a Sagittarius sun, rising, and Mercury. That's a stellium. I also have a Capricorn stellium, which is in Neptune, Uranus, and also my north node, and also my Lilith. And all of those outer planets that I just named are in the 1st house. So I have what you call a 1st house stellium. So a lot of my work is rooted in my identity and knowing who I am. And really, that's why I really form that into the basics of self-identity. So understanding yourself is that's a part of my ministry. So that's something that's always going to keep repeating in me helping other people in that aspect because of that 1st house placement.
Yeah. That's a lot of concentrated energy.
Yeah. So I wanted to say, I feel like I see both perspectives and how they would work in understanding that holistic point of self. Like for myself, I know my south node is in Leo. So like attracting energy just naturally comes to me. And my north node is in Aquarius. So I'm learning to be more community driven, more, you know, even just me being on this podcast and using social media and using technology to reach a wider way of people, I feel like is me walking in that invocation of my north node. And I could also see, being that I have a Libra stellium, how, you know, as I said, that attraction of easily, you know, that loving, nurturing, flirtatious energy just kind of rules my chart, and how that plays a role in my destiny. So I definitely feel like if you understand both sides of the coin and see things from both perspectives, it adds into the holistic picture of self.
Yes.
And I think that's what this whole relationship
and
spirituality boils down to, is that relationship with self.
Yes, that's exact, and that's my ministry, because I have a 1st house stellium. It's all about the 1st house is usually ruled over it cultivates that Aries energy, which is the I am of the zodiac. I believe that each zodiac sign also have an affirmation that kind of identifies itself. And once you learn how to identify the planets, identify the constellations, you're better at understanding how that relate and what that looks like, what that relationship between that planet, because each planet, like I said, rules over a constellation. That's a relationship within itself. Mercury
That's
has
very
a
true.
unique relationship with Gemini and Virgo because that's the ruling
Virgo
planet.
here.
Hey Virgo moon here. Virgo is mercurial energy. So you are a communicator. So through social media and with your north nodes being in Aquarius and your sun sign being in Virgo, it's about wellness, it's about mental health. You're gonna be talking about, cultivating that plant life, that earth energy, grounding yourself in routine, in ritual, and those are the things that you're
Rituals
gonna
are
be.
very important to me.
And rituals, same here. My mental health is rooted in my rituals
Yes,
because
I
my
completely
my
agree.
moon sign is in Virgo.
I definitely completely agree with that
Wonderful. So
statement.
so as I'm taking everything in, and as I'm taking everything in and I'm structuring it, first thing is I'm identifying that I want to make very plain to the audience is that even as we get into astrology and cultivating relationships, be it friendships, family ties, and or intimate partners and companions, it is important and vital that you know yourself. Doing the self work, the shadow work. In order to be successful in any relationship, it is important to know thyself, to thine own self be true, and to dive into your charts and to take that time to know what elements of myself deals in that shadow part that needs to be cultivated. So I want to just piggyback really fast, and I just want to give a quick reminder: when we are focusing on the shadow self and self work, aspect of the chart exactly
The
are we supposed to focus on when we're
the
getting into
moon and
dealing with self and shadow self?
the moon and Lilith. The moon and Lilith
Ashe.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Lilith definitely.
The moon and Lilith. I say the moon. I say the moon because it's more of the tangible things. It's your emotional experiences during your childhood definitely cultivates it expresses like, say for instance, you may have been a child who like myself, I come off as very extroverted now, but when I was a child, I was very introverted. I was okay with it, with being in my solitude, and I've had to go back to those versions of myself
Same.
in my adulthood, because when life is life and you operating in the ego, you come off as whatever your sun sign is, and then my rising sign is that too, and my Mercury. So I'm sad. But that Virgo moon holds a lot of weight. Okay, when it comes down to the psychological mind, the things that routine, that ritual, because what you do over and over again, or who you're around over and over again, becomes who you are. You absorb that energy subconsciously.
So would you say that your moon sign is more of your personality than your sun sign?
It is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The moon sign is definitely more of how
Okay.
it's, especially when it comes to going after what you want. When it comes down to when it comes down to the subconscious and psychological mind, for sure. I don't know, Aviam. I don't know if you want to talk more about that Lilith energy.
Oh yeah.
My Lilith is
Yeah,
in
because the moon
Capricorn.
also, like we said before, it represents your mother. And oftentimes, like for example, I know I'm using my chart as an example.
Wait,
Like
wait.
I
The
have a Gemini
Lilith.
moon, for example. And usually when your moon sign is in something such as Gemini, oftentimes you don't really get that nurturing vibe from your mom. Your mom feels kind of like a peer. He kind of feels more like a sister. So where do you get that nurturing vibe from? You have to find out, what is it within myself that will make me feel nurtured? What soothes me? Like with mine being in Gemini, which is a mercurial sign, and young mercurial sign, because Virgo's older than Gemini is. I had to learn not to intellectualize my emotions, but when it comes to my emotions, listen, Mercury, to words of affirmation and the words that speak to my soul that feel nurturing. Good conversations nurture me. People who speak empowering feel nurturing for me. Knowing what it takes to nurture me, that helped me with my a lot, as well as understanding my Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer, and that's an asteroid that all of us have within our charts. Like if your Chiron, for example, I'm born 1993, a lot of us Chiron in Leo, and that can involve your creativity. That can involve what it means to be fully seen. So a lot of people with a Chiron in Leo, they might have had, or in the fifth house, they could have had a lot of pain when it comes to being fully seen. Whenever they were fully seen, it always resulted in criticism. It might have resulted in judgment or something negative. You know, that's just one example, and just knowing what it means to heal from that. So that's like how you can understand your Chiron, is understand like the sign that Chiron is in, the house that activity is going in, you know, and where that pain is coming from and what it means to heal that pain. And sometimes you can look at the sign that's opposite from that to know like what's something that will balance this out. Because opposite signs are actually very similar. They're just two extremes of the same thing.
They are. They are. Like, and I'm glad.
Expound a little bit more about that.
I was gonna say I'm glad that she mentioned the Gemini energy and the Sag energy, because she's a Gemini moon and I'm double Sag energy, which is the energy that we're cultivating under right now as we speak. We're in the Gemini season and we're about to be entering into a full moon in Sagittarius. In Atlanta, most likely, probably in the middle of the night, it'll be a full moon, and then 4:00 in the morning here, it'll be the full moon in Sagittarius for the next 2 days, because the moon actually moves more frequently than the sun. And when you also know how those planets operate and how they behave, you better understand yourself too. Like Mercurial, it's funny, I seen a funny video and it was a young girl, she's been acting out, you know, how the planets manifest, and what they said about Mercurial children, which is Virgo and Gemini, is very chatty, because we're the communicators of the zodiac. But I feel like the Gemini and the Virgo communicate differently. The Gemini is more so verbally expression. Like that, it's that throat chakra energy. And I feel like Virgo is more of the heart chakra energy, more of the scriber, because in listening, because people forget that the more important part of communication is listening. We got 2 ears and 1 mouth. So so the Virgo energy is more mature in that aspect and articulating, like an artist like Nas, and an artist like who else is a Virgo? Beyonce, or artists like Michael Jackson. And then you have the Gemini energy that's more of the self-expression. I know y'all been seeing Kendrick Lamar go off lately, okay? He ain't been holding no punches, you feel me? But he traits through his creativity and through his verbal, which is Tupac, Lauryn Hill, Prince, Maxwell, Andre 3000. You have so many, even Trump. Donald Trump is actually a Gemini with a Sag moon, but we'll talk about that another time, because that message was divine. Even whether nobody in the North knows and the South knows, while he was in turn was in Sag and Gemini. So a lot of this stuff is more aligned than we
listen
know.
Yes.
You are on point with that, and we definitely got to bookmark that later. But you on point. You on point with everything you said. You're on point. You are on point. And so to give because we focus on like our personal signs a little bit, but just to cover the viewers, because the timing is good. We're making wonderful time. And side note, let me get some hearts. Give us some hearts. Subscribe, hearts, share the live, all the good stuff. We only have 4. I need some more interaction, because this is good conversation. You guys, thank you for your views and your time of coming in with us. These queens are given to us live and in color. And so to help everyone out, you know, starting from Aries going down the list, you know, and we're focusing in what are the tidbits or things, whether we're looking at the moon aspect and looking at the Lilith, both the moon and the Liliths, and those are aspects that we're focusing on tonight. I think what are, for the viewers, elements of their Lilith and moon signs, what are things they should be aware of when dealing with self in preparation and in the process of building and cultivating relationships.
So I can speak more so on the moon sign more than I can of Lilith. I'm still understanding my
okay, so this is what we're gonna do. So this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna do
my Lilith is in the first house, sis.
Mine is in the 7th house. I mean, okay, so we both got Liliths in personal houses. Okay, well, the angles.
Okay, so this is good. So the Astro Weather Woman, you're going to deal with the moon. I said Astro Weather Woman is going to deal with the moon, and then Avi, you're going to deal with Lilith. You're looking real Lilith this anyhow. So you're going to deal with the Lilith energy, and Astro Weather Woman is going to deal with the moon.
We could deal with the lighter energy for
Go
sure.
ahead. We're gonna start with Lilith energy because
Oh well, I was gonna say
yes,
okay.
let's
Well,
start from the
we can
depths
go
and work
deep.
our way up.
I'm ready.
You're good. We're gonna start from the depths and work our way up.
Yep.
Go go
Right.
ahead,
So
go Rain.
what
Go
we
ahead,
are
Rain,
doing.
before Avi starts.
So I would like some edification because my Lilith is in Libra. So what would that indicate about me as a person? How would I play with
Wait,
that?
Rain. Wait. They're gonna go down the list. We going down the whole chart, starting from Aries down. Don't do that, Rain. No, got him. No, got him.
No.
Rain
I'm
says,
gonna put my
"F
personal
all that.
answers first.
Tell me right now."
She gonna go through all the signs.
All right, you guys I only got so much more time to be on here. Where we
Okay,
start
so we're gonna start. We can
Libra.
We can start with Libra first.
yeah,
We
start
should.
Yeah.
Okay,
from
'cause
Libra
my
and
Lilith
going
is
down.
in the 7th house.
We should
which
Go
is
ahead. Go
very
ahead. Start with
similar.
Libra.
We should let the people in the
Okay,
comments
so let's.
throw out a sign too. Let the people in the comments throw out a sign, and we can go from there. So that we can have more engagement.
Okay. Yep. Yes. Throw out y'all sign. If y'all want them to talk about y'all sign, we need to engage. But we're gonna start with Libra, and Avi is gonna take it, and we're gonna let her go into Lilith. So I'm actually gonna mute my mic, and I'm gonna ask that everybody else mute their mic and let Avi flow in spirit, and the cosmos ride her on a higher height.
All right. So since we're talking about Lilith, and also I'm a Lilith in the 7th house, so that's something that I definitely relate to. Is Lilith? It's like the dark feminine energy because they say God, He created Adam and Eve. Before there was Eve, they said that there was Lilith, and Lilith was the one who they would say betrayed God before Eve did, and that betrayed Adam before Eve. And that she was an empowered woman, and God had to get rid of Lilith, and then He recreated Eve, who was subservient to Adam. Now, since we already got that understanding, that's not the full story, but that's just a brief gist of who Lilith is, known as the empowered femme. See her pop up. That could show the side of some of your relationships. Now, with you having your Libra and mine in the 7th house, a lot of times people can get threatened by us when it comes to their romantic partners. People might think, "Oh, she's the type that I want to steal your fucking man. Oh, she a hoe, she a slut." You're more likely to get those types of rumors if your Lilith is in the 7th house or in Libra. People are going to operate very distrusting towards you in relationships, even when you ain't done a goddamn thing. A lot of times when it comes to where your Lilith is placed, that can be where people look at you in a negative light. But everybody has something that can be looked at a negative light, right? So you can't always let some Lilith's in Libra 7th house. I won't be able to get. Yes, you can. You have a lot of discernment because when it comes to Lilith in the 7th house in Libra, Venus is a sign. I might be enunciating that completely wrong, but you guys get what I'm saying. And Venus deals with relationships. It deals with partnerships. It's exalted in Venus for a reason. So the thing is, when it comes down to it, when it comes to how our relationships are, it's just like how it is when you have Venus in the 8th house. You got to keep that private. Only people can know so much. That's something to try to attack when it comes to all of us is Lilith. Like if it was, if you had a Lilith in an Aquarius or the 11th house, for example, people would be attacking you in friend groups. You would be sometimes a person who gets targeted more than other people get targeted. We all have our pains. We all have our trials and tribulations in life. And when it comes to having Lilith in Libra or the 7th house, oftentimes it's our dealings with other people, especially romantically, and then sometimes other partnerships in business where we have most of our issues. Because lots of times people view you as a threat.
I just have to say,
as a threat to other people, to their relationships. Their Libra 7th house matters.
I just have to say, you're speaking to my life. You're speaking to my life. So that's definitely an understanding of Lilith and Libra. I had one more because I haven't seen anybody throw out a sign yet. So what about Lilith and Pisces?
My Lilith is in Pisces. And that's the thing is what I've learned with my Lilith and Pisces and how that goes together. Oftentimes I have to
dun.
And also a negative influence in my life. That's how I've always looked at my Lilith being in Pisces, because oftentimes, I noticed it was always spiritual leaders or people who said they can guide me down a spiritual path that usually were the people that I had to avoid. That usually were, I don't even know what the word. Well, as dark as the word may sound, sometimes they could be pretty demonic. Sometimes I didn't meet great spiritual leaders.
Talk about it.
Well, Ra already
Talk
knows
about it.
my situation.
Talk about it.
Yeah, so sometimes
Okay.
that can lead to,
So
yeah.
also we got Taurus out there too, following.
You said a Taurus and a Lilith.
Go ahead, Astro Woman.
I was gonna say, can you do Capricorn? Mine is in Cap.
Capricorn and
I'm
Taurus.
still
Yep, Capricorn and Taurus. Capricorn and Taurus. Oh,
all right.
but go
Then we're
ahead,
gonna.
finish. She
All right,
wasn't done. Go
Saturn
ahead.
is
I know you're
almost
riding your wave.
done.
Finish.
All right, but I'm still,
Oh
like I
shoot.
said, I'm still learning more about the different signs of Lilith. But when it comes to Lilith and something such as Capricorn, that's a Saturn sign. So you already know when it comes to Saturn, there's going to be, I don't want to say karma with you, but it'll be more so like a sense of karma when it comes to how you deal with, you know, Saturn matters with business, how it deals with Saturn matters within the household. Because you got to think, if your Lilith is in Capricorn, think of all of the regulations that person may have had with their sexuality. Think of all of the strict judgments they may have had with their sexuality and who they were dating. Think of all of the you can't do this, you're not supposed to do that in a Capricorn Lilith's life. When it comes to romance, think of the controlling partners who might be like, who might try to take on that authority father figure role. Even if it's a woman, it might just be someone trying to be like an authority over you in your relationships where you don't even have a damn voice. Somebody trying to dominate your head.
That sound like Lilith herself. That sound like Lilith. I think Lilith was a damn Capricorn.
So I resonate with that so much, Avian. But what were you about to say?
I was thinking the next one you guys said was Taurus, right?
Taurus. And then Leo.
I want to say with that Capricorn being in Lilith, I have had a lot of, it's kind of similar to the Libra, where people, or they say, is one thing that they said that I may use my sexuality to climb the ladder of power, or use my sensuality and sexuality for power. What I just want to ask that last little question. What do you feel about that? Is that true? That's what I was told.
I don't have Lilith and Capricorn, but hearing this from somebody that does have it, I can understand how that can probably play out in your life, with Saturn being something that represents, you know, like I said, the father, and it represents masculinity. I mean, the sun also can represent the father and masculinity too. But you know, the sun and Saturn, you know, they ain't best friends. You know, like Capricorn and Aquarius were falling in the sun for a reason. So for somebody to use a woman, not a man, but a woman or somebody that's displaying themselves as feminine presenting, using that Capricorn Lilith, I think that can work in your favor if you use it the right way. But the thing is that you got a masculine energy and you're using a feminine finesse with it. And some people, they can get intimidated by that. You know what I'm saying?
That. A lot of people, I always have people husbands, people wives. It be that deep. It don't just be girlfriend, boyfriend. It be husband, wives. It be real power couple type shit. And their counterpart is attracted to me. I've had somebody's husband tell me that they want to put me on their shrine.
Wow.
And I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Stop tonight. Get top.
Whoa.
That's a lot. That's heavy.
That's heavy.
Oh, that's super heavy, and that's why it's uncomfortable. And as you said, that it is uncomfortable because I have had people who try to be authoritative over my sexuality since before I can remember.
Whoa.
And I'm comfortable with sharing that because of my emotional healing. But
no, this is a sacred space for this. This people are being transformed. You're good, darling. This is the space. Trust me, we get into touchy topics. This is the sacred space. This is and people benefit from our realness. So don't feel no kind of how.
No, I don't. I feel it.
Say this. I
feel empowered in that way because I literally know how to work the room with the wife and the husband if need be. Because I have respect, but at the same time, it's like sometimes I really do be having to rein it in. Like, baby, are you mad at me or the person who is dishonoring their contract?
Saturn.
That part.
I'm just here,
and I'm about to go back and listen. I'm about to go back and listen.
I feel like I uproot the darker sides of people marriages. I uproot the darker sides of people marriages and relationships a lot, and I usually be the pinpoint where people look at me like this bitch or that whore or who is she, and I get that energy. They don't really say it out loud. They end up my friends at the end or some shit like that. But to be totally honest, I've dealt with that multiple times in my life. In my 20s, I didn't know how to handle that. That was a lot. It was heavy, like y'all said. But now that I'm more empowered in my sensuality and my sexuality and have the emotional healing that I need and transformed from my traumas and understand them, I get triggered, but I know how to maintain that because I have self-awareness of myself. I know myself.
You have discernment. And the discernment to know, like, okay, Lilith is popping up in this dynamic. Let me move a little different. Or let me uphold my boundaries a little bit better.
Yep.
Because you can feel now, okay, the Lilith energies are resonating within my dynamic with these people.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Avian. I appreciate your wisdom.
I'm going to have to go back and listen because I don't know.
I'm going to have to get out of here, guys.
I don't know.
You guys let me know next time because I would love to join in. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Thank you for jumping on last minute. It was impromptu. I appreciate it.
Avian, I got another tea party.
You guys, let me tell you.
Okay.
There. Yes. Thank you, Avian. You guys, Avian literally was kind enough to jump in last minute. It was not planned, for she to join us tonight, and I was very grateful that she joined us. It was literally just as you guys heard me and Astro Woman talk about getting her on, she got on. And so I definitely will plan for her to come back and we can get some more of her time so that she can bless us with more wonderful knowledge and insight. I'll have both of them come back on. But while I do still have Astro Woman with us, and we're still riding the wave, she's going to get into the moon aspect.
Yes.
You guys. And so, again, we can start at Libra and work our way
through.
Again, comment your signs, engage, interact with us.
And I'm pretty sure the reason why people didn't respond on their Lilith, because a lot of people don't know their Lilith. I really do come from a more nurturing aspect when it comes down to teaching astrology, because a lot of people do not know themselves. A lot of people are still lost tribe. So I take my time to articulate that and let them unfold through their experiences, because I tried to bulldoze through astrology when I first figured out that it was a birth chart, but a lot of this shit has to be experienced for you to fully understand. So that's why I take my time with it and I don't force feed the knowledge, because people will be like, you're speaking another language.
I feel like people still tend to forget that astrology is a science. There's like mathematics that goes with it. There's so much depths and levels that go into understanding astrology. But if you take the time just to understand it placement by placement, and then maybe get into the houses and just take the little baby steps at a time, and remember that the end goal is to understand self at the end of the day, the complexities of it becomes easier.
Yeah, because it's about the relationship. We are talking about relationships, but I feel like a lot of times, once again, the reason why the society may be having adverse with relationship and understanding the feminine and the masculine is because we're skipping steps. We're skipping the relationship with ourselves and how we relate to nature first, and then you can better understand why I'm attracting all of this bullshit energy, or why I'm complacent in this relationship, or the question that you get when you get regular readings for tarot, and see, that's why I'm more practical. My Virgo moon grounds me, and my Jupiter is also in Virgo. I ground in that energy and articulating this energy step by step, ritually, not just, when I have clients, we go off the moon phase first, because I need to know how you were programmed. I need to know what was going on. I need you to tell me your story, your birth story. In order for me to do a birth chart for you, I need your birth story.
So I'm here for all the knowledge. I am a Libra moon. So Libra runs very heavily in my chart. I always joke and tell people I'm not a Virgo, I'm a Libra. Like, everybody be like, no. I'm like, no, for real, I'm a Libra.
I can tell. The aesthetics for me, baby.
Thank you. So how does that relate to my relationship with my mother? Because I know that your moon sign tells a lot about the relationship.
May I ask what your mother's sun sign is?
She's a Taurus.
Okay, so you both are Venus ruled. You have a Venus ruled relationship. because your moon sign is also in Libra. But see, you are more, she's the Taurus, so she's over the materialistic aspect of it, the agriculture, the brick and mortar. That is that part of the Venus energy, because Venus rules over Taurus and Libra. And so the Libra part of it is more of the aesthetic of the relationships, the contracts that we talking about, the soul, the marriages, the business partners, you know. And I feel like a lot of us, we may have been our mother's parents in the past life, depending on what that contract is. And she spoke on that with that Gemini moon. Most air sign moons are very mature in this lifetime to a degree when it comes down to knowledge, because air energy is the intellect. So you look at things from a more intellectual perspective and contractual perspective, but it's still beauty and aesthetics in that. It's beauty and aesthetics in how you weave in relationships. For your mother, it's about how she cultivate the brick and mortar, the agriculture, you know, if in balance, because you have people because you have two sides to each sign. You have the balance and the imbalance. You have the light side and the shadow side of each sign. So depending on the evolution of your mom and the evolution of yourself is how that takes place. So it all depends on the relationship and how y'all looked at each other. You guys may superficially connect a lot of times. Superficiality is big with Venus energy on the shadow side.
Sorry to cut your flow. For me, it was always central to image. Everything in our relationship was about how things looked on the outside.
Yeah, superficiality.
Just like that, as you said, superficial level of understanding. I don't feel like we ever... you probably thought that she put more energy into the materialistic things than she did with connecting with you emotionally. I definitely agree.
So with that being said, but she probably leaving you some really good inheritance. and it may be even the knowledge of what not to do.
Yes.
Okay. So what is it? Because the world just exposed the bare minimum of astrology, most conversations around and involved in we don't go this deep because we got to understand the universe is also a reflection of us. So the universe is, you know, it's and I hope you guys really take the time to watch that video, the Joe Rogan video with Terrence Howard. I'm serious, because he talks about the relationship between and how some of the sun made all of the planets. The planets are nothing but the children of the sun. So we're all creating, and there's many stars.
Awake my soul and with the sun.
Huh? What did you say?
I said no. I had dropped the key. I said awake my soul. I said awake my soul and with the sun. That's a key that we use. So talking about the power that everything is centered around that energy, that from that energy come everything, and it is an element of divine force.
What's your question, Rain?
So with us being replicas of the sun, right? How would that manifest in Leo energy?
Oh, well, so I want to talk about that because that was important. I really want to get to the basis at the beginning, which is understanding what sign is ruled by what planet. So the sun rules over Leo. Go ahead. That relationship within itself, the sun and Leo, it's about pride. It's about shining. It's about the light. It's about the soul level, the leadership, the courage. Also, kind of like that wounded healer energy as well too. Okay, is what Leo provides. I would say the sun sign. I believe that the sun ruled over each sign at some point in existence, or will. And so it may be eons from now. At some point, the sun ruler was another, because like Jupiter used to rule over Pisces. It's Pisces ruling ancient ruler is Jupiter. And now it's Neptune. So even the relationship between the
My
relationships
moon is
between
in
the
Pisces.
planets are important. The relationships between the planets, when you do the history of that, when you know how they rotate, you know how they move, you know how they collide. I'm telling y'all, if y'all want to go deeper into that, watch that Terrence Howard interview. I'm telling you, he goes deep into it. And so, but when you understand on that solar
Shit.
level, the sun energy, like I said, it's who you are to the core. It's your soul. It's the because the sun is energy. We're all electricity. So that's how I can describe that
Shit.
energy. Leo
Okay.
energy, electricity. It
I
is it
like
is
that.
light. It is energy, and it's also one of the three fire signs in the zodiac, alongside with Aries and
Shit.
Sagittarius.
Shit.
And so
Shit.
the moon,
Shit.
I don't know
So
if you guys, the
being a
moon.
Pisces.
So Pisces, the ruling planet of Pisces, like I said, its ancient ruler used to be Jupiter, which is now Sagittarius's ruling planet. So that's why Sag and Pisces have such a spiritual connection. I don't care. Most Sages and Pisces, it may be some offsets in your inner world, in your aspects that may offset that. But to the core, we know I communicate Pisces and Pisces communicate Sagittarius. Very it's it without even
And I find
words.
that very interesting.
And so now the ruling planet
I
of
find that very interesting, and here's why.
what's that?
I'm sorry, it's highly sticking, so that's why we're overlapping. I do
No, what are you
apologize to you guys if it's disturbing those that are listening. So, I find it interesting that you say that because every time I hear that statement, from a personal experience, from relationships with friends, it's I see that dynamic. But my mother, so I thought it was interesting when Rain asked that question because I, who have a mother that's a Sag, we don't have the best relationship. And so
And that's what made me
I
say it
find that
offset.
interesting.
But it's spiritual. It's not cardinal. You
Okay.
and your mother have an
Shit.
inevitable
Shit.
spiritual connection, Ricky. Like in real life, like I've seen y'all interact. She's not your authority.
Mm-hmm.
She lets you move how you need to, and she guides you like a Sagittarius would. Because we don't like authority over us either. We don't like nobody telling us what to do. Because she inevitably understands that you have to go on your own path. And anytime that she goes against that is because she didn't get to express that in her lifetime. So you may be doing some of the work that she did not do.
I had one more question.
I believe that I could believe that.
What was your question, Rain?
So you said you were a Virgo moon. Can you tell me a little bit more about Virgo moons?
Yes. The moon ruling sign is the sign that the moon rules is Cancer. So that is the mama of the zodiac. So we talked about Saturn. Saturn is the papa, the father of the zodiac. Cancer is the mother, the maternal aspect, which is why Aviam explained that our moon sign connects with our mother. My mother passed when I was 11. I had to create my own rituals and routines in order to figure out how to mother myself, nourish myself. She gave enough love in my 11 years. We still have a relationship, even on the other realm. You know, I've created an algorithm, a routine and a ritual to even connect to her spirit and her energy. Rituals, routines. I can be subconsciously very possessive. Not possessive, obsessive, which is why I'm very obsessive with astrology. Subconsciously, I love to help people and fix people. That's the shadow side of it. But the light of that moon energy with awareness is great ritual routines to care for people. I'm also I haven't tapped into it yet, but I'm a herbalist doctor. I'm pretty sure, and also scribing, writing. The only reason why I don't write as much now is because I'm getting over the fear, because I wrote myself into a 7-year cycle. Because the way I scribe and write is powerful. So I'm not, you know how a lot of people be like, oh, I'm one of those open mic. I wrote this poem and I wrote this. I can't play them type of games. I have to be very specific because Virgo pays attention to the small details. So subconsciously, I fixate on certain things that I may not need to fixate on. So I have to have a routine and ritual that helps me, you know, navigate through that. And astrology has been a really dope and great tool to help navigate that, which is why I'm so fixated on astrology, but I'm also evolving and I'm in that aspect. And in Vedic astrology, I'm actually a Leo moon. And in Vedic astrology, I'm actually a Scorpio. So I even tied that into it because my degrees are also, because we haven't talked about the degrees either. So it also depends. You have three different deacons in each sign, and I'm the first deacon of both of my sun and my moon sign. So I'm like a baby in that energy. So I have so much life to live to express this energy and teach this energy. So Virgos are my healers. I love y'all so much. Oh my God. I believe that some of my best partners are Virgos because my Jupiter.
Telling people.
For me, Virgos get me the fuck together. Okay. Virgos get me together and subtly without words. See, Geminis, well, they're my opposite and they're my sister sign with my moon because Mercurial is my moon sign, but also my sister sign because Gemini is the opposite of Sagittarius. So when Geminis come into my life, it's more chatter. When Virgos come into my life, it's less talking, more action. I call y'all the poison ivies of my life because y'all cultivate the plants, the secret life of plants by, you know, like that energy is what heals me. When I lived with Fanta, you noticed she a Virgo, right, Ricky? That was where I got my most healing at. And the opposite sign of Virgo is what? Pisces. So in Ricky's space, I got a lot of my spiritual healing. Because Pisces is also a sister sign because Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, and Sagittarius are the mutable signs of the zodiac. So I just kind of want to break that down. You have the type, which is the type, which is cardinal, fixed, or mutable. You have the elements, which is earth, air, fire, water, and then you also have the last thing is no, I think those are two things. I'm overthinking it, and then also the ruling planet, of course, in the relationship. Because some planets rule more than one sign. So that's the aspect with Virgo for me. Virgos are my healers, like I said. They're my healers, or they are here to remind me that I'm overly fixated on something that needs to. And that's how I look at relationships. When a sign comes into my life, I'm like, what time is it? Oh, I got a Scorpio I got an Aries in my life. All right, that's the fire underneath my ass. I have a Taurus in my life. Oh, I need to be mindful of my money management. I have a Gemini in my life. Oh, they're reminding me to do the inner child work that I need to do within myself to be able to communicate my needs with my community. Oh, I have a Cancer in my life. I need that reminder to nourish myself and care for myself or not to overly give emotionally. It's that Mama Yemoja energy in my life, most Cancers. Or if a Leo come into my life, they come in to cheer me on and give me strength and help heal me through some of the wounds that I've been through. If I have a Virgo come in my life, we already talked about that. When I have a Libra coming into my life, they reminds me to be mindful of my appearance, my aesthetics, and also with my business partnerships. My Venus is also in Libra, so it's exalted.
Mine too.
Okay, we got a lot of common sense. We gotta see the stars are aligned. And so also, when a Scorpio come into my life, it's ego death time. It's inheritance time. It's time to dive deeper into my sensuality and my sexuality. When a Sagittarius is coming into my life or anybody else's life, they're coming to mirror my ass and my behavior on a solar level. If I don't like what a Sagittarius is doing to me, that means it's something that needs to change. So it's also like another ego death because I'm a Sag. When the Capricorn comes into my life, It's time for me to think about my reputation and the authority and the discipline in my life. And when an Aquarius come into my life, it's time to network. It's time to be amongst the people. It's time to dive more into my social media presence. When a Pisces come into my life, oh, it's time to do all that shit. It's time to do it all. For
all
me,
inclusive.
it's time to do it all inclusive. But with
all
order.
inclusive.
But with order, because Pisces is also about patterns and also about seeing the patterns. And so that's how when I'm dealing, so I look at that on a friendship, I look at that on a personal level with my planet placements. I look at that from a friendship with my parents, because that's the first relationship that I've had was with my parents and how I relate to them. And then with my siblings, because they are my first community. And then after my siblings, it's with society when I go out into the world. And then after society, it's pretty much with politics and what I believe in, my belief systems. And, you know, not even just that, but my recreational fun, what I like to do, how I relate to the world outside of me. So that's when you really start breaking down the houses, because the houses tell you what phase of life that you need to work on the most. I have a first house stellium, meaning I have a lot of planets in the first house, meaning all of that work has to be done within myself, my identity. I am building that, you know.
So what if you have a sixth house stellium? What would that tell you?
Mental health, your routines, your rituals. Your mental health is something that it may be a pattern in your life that you have to revisit and keep caring for, because that's Virgo energy. Your mental health, your relationship with animals, and your relationship with animals. So your rituals, routines, your relationship with your animals, and your mental health is certain patterns. And if you got a stellium, you're going to probably constantly be even advocating in that aspect, or that's going to be where most of your work is.
That's interesting. Somebody asked him Taurus moon and Gemini moon.
Okay, so Taurus moon, you are subconsciously, you love comfort. You love comfort. You are like a pillow. I call y'all. I feel like anybody who got an earth sign moon, whether that's Alafia, what's up, JB? But most people
Hi, JB.
Who has earth moons, they are most likely very grounded emotionally, but they try to deal with their emotions on a practical level a lot. So Tauruses is like, oh, if I'm feeling emotionally down, I might just overeat or overly indulge in sex or whatever my pleasures in life. I may hold to the materialistic things. Taurus moons hoard a lot. My grandmother was a Sag with a Taurus moon, and she was a hoarder. I mean, she had a whole closet for all her white suits for first Sunday, and then she had a zebra room, and then she had a leopard room. Like, it was like, lady, come on now. So they love materialistic things. So subconsciously and emotionally, that's how they cope emotionally on the shadow side. But on the lighter side of that, Taurus moon is more so about building your need for comfort and stability. You're going to always usually be a very stable person because you set your life up emotionally. You can't even handle not having like a roof over your head for the most part. Like a Taurus moon, you would have to have some other aspect of shit going on in your chart where that manifests, or where you may need to be breaking through in your family for some reason if you're not really stable as a Taurus moon. But for the Gemini moon, those are some of my favorite people too, because they are the like mischievous. Gemini got that mischief energy, but in the moon sign, it's very, sometimes the creative expression can be suppressed on the shadow side. So they can people please, or they can always need stimulation from conversation or to have people around and having physical touch a lot, because Gemini is the first physical sign of the zodiac. So you have Aries as a ram, which is an animal. You have Taurus, which is a bull. And then you have Gemini, which is the twins, which is the first human form. So Geminis are really good with physical touch, But on the emotional level, as that moon sign, you may have been deprived of hugs. You may not have got that nourishment from your mother. That could be the shadow side of that as well too. Or you just suppress your creativity or your means of self-expression because that all in, or you may not know how to communicate your needs to your community. So that's Taurus and Gemini moon.
I had a question.
Come on, triple Capricorn. The triple Cancer. Oh my God, baby.
Cancer.
I just want to hug you. I'm sorry. What did you say, Raina? Rain.
Go ahead, Rain, with your question. Then we'll get into the triple Cancer.
So my question might have to answer after, because I want to go into your rising sign and what role that plays.
Yes, we gonna
identify in this world.
We can pivot. We can definitely pivot after we can. So when you have a sign in all three, your sun, moon, and rising, oh my God. I've met a triple Virgo before. That man is a beautiful man. Oh, that man is beautiful. If he's watching, hey boo. That man is fine. Okay, and that's only me because I love Virgos. Okay, but a triple Cancer,
I love it.
You are feeling the world, but you are also so emotionally in tune and emotionally empowered. As long as you have that good the relationship to mama and water, period. Like, you should be drinking water. You should be submerging yourself in water. You're like a water bender, okay? You are also, it could be a lot of emotional unrest for you, okay? I wonder if you practice E5. I'm like, with that energy, are you a child of Yemoja? Because I am curious with all that water energy, that Cancer energy. You're very nurturing. You probably mothered everybody around you, or
she's a water child. She's a water. She's a on me. She's a water child. Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave her alone, but she's up in you up in you in it.
I was gonna say,
you in the spirit. You are the spirit.
One of them, either that Oloku. She definitely got a water mama over her head. I just know. If it was anything else, I'm intrigued.
You hear that, Mama Kashima? You hear that? You hear that, Mama Kashima? You hear what she said? She calling you out, girl.
I was like, she gotta have that water energy over her head, if that's the case, or she worked with a water mama for sure. I was gonna say Olokun before Oshun, but Oshun, I can see that. Maybe, and you are also you are a feminist at heart, baby. You women empowerment is your avocation. That is what you do. You probably the type of person that got safe homes and shit, and probably will be doing home births in your house type shit. Like, you're that person. Like, you are definitely but also, you definitely, on the shadow side of that Cancer energy, is definitely emotional unrest, baby. That worrying bug. You worry about everything. You worry about your kids. You worried about the dog. You worried about just be mindful of worrying so much, because you do have that overpowering energy. But that energy, I'm curious to know is your Mercury in Cancer too? Like, I'm so curious. When I look at that triple in that sun, moon, and rising, Jupiter and Lilith. You what? I want to meet her. I just want to lay in her lap. I'm sorry, because I know you got mama.
Bring your ass to Georgia, Mama Kashima, if you can host her, listen, she need a little place to put her head down. She's gonna give you all the vibes. I'm recruiting, for when she come down to Georgia.
And she probably gonna get me together too, because I'm a fire sign. So Sag and Cancer, my best friend is a Cancer. One of my spiritual healers and coaches, Mama Lotus, is a Cancer. And I got a crush that's a Cancer too, but I don't know. I think I broke up with my crush. Is that possible? Can you break up with a crush?
I think you can.
I ain't a player, but
listen. I don't know now. I don't know about all of that. So Mama Kashima is asking about Moon and Lilith. You understand? She said she wanted to know about Moon and Lilith. And look what she just said. Look what she said. She said, I told you I have a sweet look. So you already look. We just got your come on to Georgia. Come on down,
I
Asheville.
got some flight
Bring yourself
points.
on
I'll
down
be
to
down there,
come visit
mama.
us.
Oh man, I would love to do that.
Mhm.
And it's time
But
for
she
me to
wants to know
travel.
about Mama
She
Kashima
wants
wants
to
to
know about
know
what was that?
Moon and Leo. She's asking about
Moon.
what's up with this Leo energy.
Okay, so Moon and Leo. I can read the reason why I see Moon and Leo so clearly is because in Vedic astrology, I am a Leo moon. Especially because I'm 4 degrees like Virgo moon in the tropical astrology. So because I'm so close to the end of that, I'm definitely Leo moon. So Leo moon on the shadow side don't get to really shine as bright as they want to. It's like it's always a fight to have to really shine their light. It's like a wound to be able to shine that light bright as they should. The Leo moon is also very creative and but also very courageous. Your Mercury is in Leo. Okay, got it. So that Leo moon energy is also, it's definitely that wounded healer. That wounded healer energy emotionally, and also empowering others. You're always encouraging others, but you forget about yourself a lot. Leo moon can kind of operate kind of like Virgo moon too. It's so close because it's like caring for other people before you allow yourself to shine. Depending on what their sun sign is, and if it's Cancer, you shine in the departments that you need to on a nourishing space. But when it comes down to like your lioness energy, that's why that's where that Oshun energy is that Leo energy, that brightness, that that sexy and sensual, bold energy. Maybe you may shy away from being as bold as you can be. But like I said, very courageous people, very much the cheerleaders, usually the leaders, the ones that always step up subconsciously, but be mindful of taking on more than what you can chew when it comes down to leadership roles, or make sure your heart is in it and make sure your ego is not in it. And also as a Leo moon, sometimes y'all could have that thing with jealousy of other people who are shining. But you can take that energy and transmute that as in looking at that person as a muse, as inspiration to shine yourself. It's like you constantly find yourself like, I want to do that. I want to do this. I've always wanted to do this. And it's like you always manifest people around you who manifest that outwardly, the things that you may want to have done for yourself as a Leo moon. I hope that answered your question, and I hope that resonated with you.
Shit to that. Yes.
So can we quickly
we're near
just
to our time. Go ahead, Rain. Go ahead, Rain. Do your thing, girl.
We need to have a part 2 so we could go into the rising signs. We can get into the houses more in depth. But tonight's podcast was absolutely amazing, and understanding the power of understanding your astrological placements has definitely been an eyesight opener, because understanding self should always be the ultimate goal, and astrology is just another tool that the gods has decided to bless us with in order to do so.
Yes,
it's one of the most ancient tools.
Absolutely.
We garden. You can get a book and you can garden certain foods by knowing what sign the moon is in. That's how sharecroppers and farmers planted their food, is understanding the moon and the sun. It was for our survival. Mm-hmm. So it's the most ancient knowledge. So I feel like we need to get back into it. It's so important. It's so simple. Like a lot, even that question being opposed, like we all talk about, we're melanated beings and the sun affects us. Okay. If the sun affects us, what makes you think the other parts of the solar system and we don't have a relationship with the other part? So I always ask that opposing question, just to see what people are. I'm a very provoking person in that aspect. And just lastly, I will just explain what the rising sign is. I won't go into detail, but the rising sign is your book cover. It's how people perceive you. Okay, but it's also the inherited knowledge that you have from your past life and that you navigate through, and that's just my experience. Especially because I am a double Sag, and my Sag rising is 29 degrees, so I'm damn near like a Capricorn rising. Like my Capricorn energy is It's big and bold. But it's silent but deadly. I should say that if needed to, it needed be. Because especially with us in this generation who has a lot of Capricorn outer planets. The outer planets is more generational, like Neptune, Uranus, Pluto. Those are generational. So you may share some of that energy with people in your generation, depending on what year you were born. We are all of us are the Pluto if you were born in 1984 to 1996, your Pluto is in Scorpio. We are the Pluto and Scorpio generation. So some of those things is to look at, and those are just little tidbits. But like Rain said earlier, take your time and build a relationship with each planet and what your placement is. And then it's like, this is how I learned. Okay. Yes. My sun sign is in Sagittarius. Okay. What does it mean to be a sun sign in Aries, Leo, Sag, Virgo? I go through I study the sun. Take a week to just dive into the sun energy. And if you want to know the moon, okay, my moon sign is Virgo. I know what a Virgo moon looks like. And then I look at what all the other manifestations of a moon or whatever sign that moon is in. And then you go from there. And then you go with the rising sign and how that manifests. And then you go with the Mercury and how that manifests. And you take your time with it and you start to see the connections, because it's all really just geometry. It's geometry. It's because when you get to the degrees, and every zodiac sign is 30 degrees separate away from each other. A circle is what? 360 degrees. So we have 12 signs in the zodiac. So that means each sign is 30 degrees separate away from each other. But what about the 90-degree angle relationship? What about the 45-degree angle relationship? So it's so many ways that we can communicate this. And I like I said, I'm an enthusiast. So you really have to be naturally into it or take your time to learn it in whatever best suit. Like I know some astrologers who specialize only in Venus. I know some astrologers who only specialize in Mars because of their energy. Me, I'm Jupiter, Saturn, Mars. I'm diving in the moon. I'm diving into a lot of different things depending on what phase I'm in my life. That's my ministry. So that's how I look at that.
I love it.
Thank you guys
well, we're
so
gonna
much.
bring in part 2 next week. We're gonna bring in part 2 next week. And for Rain and Avi's, with astrologer, weather woman's schedule and Avi's schedule, and we can plan it out. She already said yes. Avi's on board. I just gotta set her. Let me tell you guys, this was wonderful. I learned some things tonight. Let me tell you, like astrology, I know a little bit basic stuff, but I don't know a lot. These are my go-to people, and even Rain has her hand in things. Do some things as I'm very grateful.
Rain, what do you do? I didn't get to know a little bit more about what you do, love.
I'm a dabbler.
Yes, come through, Rain.
I'm a surveyor of many things. So I don't want to say that I am a master in anything, but I'm definitely a surveyor of many things.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, the only thing that I can say, I used to feel like egotistically, I am a master of, astrology, but I am not. When you talk to people like Aviam, when you start listening to these other astrologers who go down into it, okay? Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. And if you guys are looking to get a birth chart reading with me, I am doing 20% off until tomorrow. I'm doing 20% off of all of my services because it's the full moon in Sagittarius. I didn't get to really talk about that manifestation, but if you follow my page, I will have content that's talking about the
Sagittarius moon, talk about it. And how it manifests. I can give a few more minutes. Give a few more minutes, girl. Go ahead. If you want to give a little bit, a tidbit.
This is a great release of information because with my Virgo moon, it's hard for me to move forward and do new things if I don't express it fully. So I thank you guys for creating this ritual with me today to be able to release and share this knowledge. As I am a Sagittarius, one of the, Sagittarius energy is over higher learning. Sagittarius is over travel. We are over belief systems. So what this full moon is going to provoke is certain things that come up for us that need to be belief system that needs to be released, or things that we think or we feel about our beliefs about ourselves, about the knowledge that we may have accumulated, that may be getting in the way of our manifestations. So the full moon happening is tomorrow. Like I said, when the moon is full, it's really a great time of being in tune with your emotions. A lot of times people get afraid of things that come up for them, but that is an inkling that something's wrong. I say if you're not feeling, you're not alive.
That's so true.
If you're not feeling, you're not alive. So if you have feelings that come up for you, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's really you just need some guidance or you need some support. You don't need nobody to govern and tell you and have an authority figure over who you are, but you need somebody to support you. And that's why I'm a doula of life and death. I'm a transformational coach. So that's why I'm getting the training as becoming a doula, to be able to bring in life, to help you understand and articulate your birth story so that you can understand what psychological program and what belief systems. A lot of us are still cultivated under religion. A lot of us are still held back over the way that we look at love and the relationships with money. A lot of us need to let go of these old thoughts and processes. Whatever house you're working in, based off of your rising sign, is what's going to tell you what you're working on. So if your moon, depending on, like, if you're I'm a Sagittarius rising, so I'm working in the first house. So there's parts of my identity that do needs to fade. I do astrology. I love astrology. I have mastered the things that I have went after, but now I want to do something different. I want to and I want to use astrology as a tool. It used to be Ricky knows, Era knows. It used to be I used to be so fixated. If it wasn't for Era, who even introduced tarot to me, I probably would still be so fixated on astrology. So having other spiritual tools in your toolbox and releasing things that no longer serves you, releasing belief systems, releasing relationships. It could be releasing parts of your identity. It could be releasing certain financial burdens that you have in your life. It could be releasing certain spiritual practices that you've been doing over and over again, and the shit this is not working. Whatever is coming up for you emotionally, that's the shit that you need to be releasing. And a lot of times we suppress that, and we try to suppress our emotions because we so fixated of not wanting to change. But Sagittarius, any mutable sign, we are agents of change.
Amen.
So any Pisces, any Virgo, any Sag, okay, any Gemini, we are agents of change. So we're the ones that's gonna be like, hey, you're doing too much of that. Oh, that's probably the reason why that's not working, is because you won't let go of this. You won't let go of this mindset. You won't let go of this lifestyle. You won't let go of these habits. You won't let go of these addictions. You won't let go of whatever it is you holding on to. It could be you worrying so much. It could be you so wanting to be in control over what happens so much. It could be the mere thought of, oh, I believe if I don't do X, Y, and Z. And people who are ritualistic like me, because you think about it, it's like, okay, I've been doing this ritual for so long and it works for me. And then it's like an ego death when it don't work for you no more. But that just means you are definitely can remove that so you can go into a journey on new territories of different aspects of your life. So you can't just miss steps.
So
you gotta listen to your emotional self to know. For example, for me, it's the first house. It's certain parts of my identity, certain parts of the story that I told myself, based off of me being the 11-year-old girl who lost her mother, who didn't have her family, who stole her inheritance, and all. That was the story that I was telling my fucking self. I mean, not that it wasn't true, but if I keep telling that story, guess what? I'm gonna be caught in the loop like the Pisces. Keep telling my story of what that happened. But when you're an alchemist and you understand words and you understand how powerful the mindset is, you stop telling that fucking story. You stop believing that you're a burden because of what your family did. You stop believing that you won't have success or you're not talented because nobody edified you in your life. You stop believing those things about yourself. And those things are going to come up for us, and we need to take heed to it. If we need guidance in that aspect, sometimes we need to ritualize it. Sometimes we need to write a letter and burn it. And we're dealing with a fire moon, so using the element of fire to release things, you got to do it. Okay? It's a full moon in Sagittarius, and it's time to let go of things that no longer serves us anymore, so that we can move forward on our journey, so we can be able to communicate to our community our needs, so it can manifest and come into fruition.
To that, I love it. I love it. You all need to book your sessions with Astro. Get those charts done. Book a session with her so you guys can go into some detailed personal things that everybody don't need to know about on live.
Yes.
Time and get in tune with your set up time with Avi and learn more about that shadow side that's tucked away in the corner that needs to be dealt with, and how these details are important to know so they can be made plain to you. So get in communication with these queens and talk to them. You guys going to get Rain's time on live. You know, she said no personal nothing. Yeah. Meet her on the Wednesday night live. Okay? Meet her on Wednesday.
I heard that, Rain.
What we do. You know, hello, and so this is, I'm Baba Ra. This is Wild Out Wednesday. You're with your co-host Rain and our guest, our special guest, the astrology weather woman, y'all.
I love you. I love you. I love you so much, El. I love you so much, El.
All love.
I cannot wait to see you. I cannot wait
so
to
grateful.
dance. I can't wait to dance with you. I can't wait to turn up and do all the things that we know.
Everything is going to be wonderful. This was wonderful. I love when I can walk away from a live informed and with food for thought, things to research, things to understand, things to say, yo, even to make my own personal one-on-one session and get to some things, because we're going through shifts, you guys.
Transformation. Baby, I need you too.
Okay, we're about to work it on now. Don't worry, we're gonna talk after this. Don't trip, you know. But we are all going through shifts and transitions, and to successfully maneuver and navigate to receive the results that we wish to obtain in our life and live the life that we really want. Not the life people said we must live, not the life we thought we needed to live, not the life we were conditioned to live, not in the traumas, but to excel and to elevate, to evolve. This is the purpose of this platform, to get you to think and to wake up. Go ahead, Rain. Rain is going to give the closing statement, and we're going to close out, you guys. I love you all.
I just wanted to say, I know tonight can seem like a big topic, so don't be intimidated by it. You know, take it one day at a time and realize that as you learn this, you're learning yourself, and what is more important than that dedication to self. So when you think about it as a tool, and Rome was not built in a day, you'll understand that you could give yourself that patience and that grace and say, you know what, today I'm going to learn about everything I can learn about my sun sign, and solely just focus on your sun sign and mastering knowing how your sun sign manifests in your life. Take it slowly, break it apart, and don't be overwhelmed by the amount of knowledge that exists, because this is just an act of love to yourself. This is a gift that you're giving to yourself, so that when you are navigating through the course and the energies that flow through life, you're doing it from a place of confidence, because you know yourself holistically and internally, and you are worth that. And that's just my few final words.
Yes, I love it. Thank you,
Yes,
Randy.
and with that being said, let's rock out.
Yes.
Isn't she so poetic?
In the comments. She is. Sis is, and I was like, sis is just so, and that's what I love about Libras. Libras are also some of my best friends, and Virgos as well too. So I really appreciate this energy cultivated today. I love y'all.
I love you guys too.
All right, have a good one. Peace and love, and happy moon, happy transiting.
Good night, everyone.
Happy transiting. I love it. Good night. Oh.
I know